Show. This is episode number 135, and I am your host, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California. We have yet again another great episode for you in day 4 of Mars Venus week. I am joined by the beautiful, the talented Shannon. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm good. I'm at work. How are you?
Pretty good. I don't know if people know about you that you have a lot of tools in your toolbox.
Okay.
A lot.
And you're a pretty special person.
Thank you.
And
Both.
like some of us regular people who may only have one or two, you know what I'm saying? You got these multi tools, and you use the tools very well.
Oh, well, thank you.
And so my question to you before we get into what the show is and introduce our people, how do you maintain being so good at so many things?
I mean, the obvious answer is stay humble.
Is it obvious? Is that obvious?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not humble, you lose some gifts.
if you're not humble, you crumble.
Yeah, pretty much. That's put it on a t-shirt. Yeah. And I mean, we were just having this conversation at work on a different effect, but with us being so short-staffed, another person was like, "You'll never get sick." I was like, "As many hours I work, I should be sick, but you know what? God is good, and
Yes, he is.
I pray for sustainability so that I can carry on this torch. Because at some point, I'm gonna have to put it down because I was tired, but God is good. So you know, gifts, you use them, don't abuse them. You might lose them. So I just use what I got
To get what you want.
to glorify the Lord.
Ain't that the song? You gotta use what you got to get what you want.
Like, we are not reintroducing the Players Club tonight, even though Players Club.
You the number one player though. Come on.
But no, I am not gonna live in the past of my. Yeah, no, we're not even gonna do that tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I am glad that you are here and you're sharing your many tools from your toolbox with us, and I really appreciate it. So, thank you. Now, our guest, we do have a guest that she just contacted me, and she said she was ran long with a client, and she's going to be joining us. So, what we'll do is we'll bring her in on the second question. So, thank you so much. We'll start off with ladies first. Angela, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Angela.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what am I telling? Like, I'm telling about, are you talking about relationship? You talking about?
No, tell us like who you are. What do you are? What are you? Why are you here? Why are you so awesome?
A marriage advocate. I help women. I am a mother of 5. I am a boss chick in my own right, but just trying to get my money to catch up with the bossiness. How about that?
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. All right. I love it. All right. This next brother, I don't want you guys to get confused.
Rico Suave.
That's what
I refer to him as Askia. That's how I know him from back in the day. But Rico is I guess Askia is your alter ego. Rico is the government, I guess. Cardo, right?
No, actually Rico's my nickname.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Askia is my government name.
Oh, yeah, okay. I got it backwards. I thought it was like short for like Ricardo or something.
Wait.
No, I'm Rico. Remember, I'm Rico 2. Ricardo's Rico 1. I'm Rico 2.
Oh, that's what it is. Now, brother Askia, Rico, I'm gonna say Askia. I think this might be the first time I've had you on because we've always been we're gonna do something, and yeah. I was always looking for a reason to get you on. And just tell a little bit about yourself, and I'm gonna say why I always wanted to have you on.
Okay. My name is Askia, aka Rico, aka Kid Marvel, aka Street Prep. aka a lot of things. But
That's a lot
I
of AKA.
nah, seriously though, I own a boutique ad agency. That's what I do for a living. We do branding and marketing for Fortune 500 companies, even some Fortune 100 companies. We do work for Aflac. We do work for American companies. For the most part, though, we're kind of transitioning more into more digital into the digital space. We're getting more into application development. We're also getting started into building our own unique platforms. We just launched a platform called Momentum about 3 weeks ago. So, and the goal for Momentum is to help Black and Brown people who are struggling with scaling their business. We provide insights, we provide resources and tools to help them, just maintain their momentum. Like it's easy to start a business, but it's hard to scale a business. So whatever it is, we try to help people keep their momentum. So one of the things I do with my company, I do what we call brand sessions. And so what I realized is these brand sessions were working out so well. So I said, why don't I put these insights on the website along with and also ask other entrepreneurs or business professionals to add their insights to kind of just add as a resource or a database for people to go to and just get information to just to kind of just keep their business moving forward.
Well, man, I appreciate you being here. And one of the reasons why I've always wanted to have you on is I always appreciate talking with you because you're one of those people that you can have different conversations. You can talk about comic books with this brother, talk about sports, you can talk
Yeah,
about politics, you can talk about relationship stuff. You've been married for quite a long time,
long
right?
time.
And have children as
Woo!
well.
Shout out to the married people. Oh, sorry.
American
and
people.
I believe besides me, everybody here is in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
Shout out to Florida.
So,
Okay.
and you guys are all
Orlando.
doing well, right? With the
Yeah,
farm and all that.
we've been blessed. We dodged most of Florida for the most part. Dodged the bullet.
Where
Uh,
are you at, Rico?
I'm in Tallahassee.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm in Orlando. So
Okay.
look,
Okay.
we just ate all the hurricane snacks with no hurricane.
There it is. There it is.
I didn't even buy no snacks, and I'm way down at the bottom, all submerged up in water.
Wow.
You know
Wow.
what? If I had to rank places to visit, I would say Shannon gets number one with the Keys. Orlando would be two, and sorry, Tallahassee would be.
First of all, why is Shannon number one? We got more stuff than the Keys. They just got some water,
Yeah, but you gotta be
Yeah,
botheristic in
here.
the Keys.
and
You
we
know,
got water too.
you gotta be
Don't
botheristic in the
be
Keys. I mean, if you got kids, then maybe you put Orlando higher. You know,
Or real elderly, because that's where they retire.
but Tallahassee is like
But the Keys is where people come to go to
get rid of a body.
they don't retire in Orlando. They retire in Boca.
Wait, the Keys is where you get rid of a body, right?
Y'all have a higher retirement than we do.
Yeah. Tallahassee's like the stepchild of Florida. We're more like South Georgia.
right.
So you don't really experience, like I mostly tell people, you don't really experience Florida until you at least get to Orlando. That's when you start experiencing Florida.
Hello,
Yeah.
And then she'll tell you.
come to my city.
There it is.
Hilarious. All right, so the topic for today, this is our ninth moral dilemmas, and basically what we do is we propose in this case there's a website called Links to Love, and they had different people who were going through different things, and what we did was we pulled some out, and we're gonna have Shannon read it, and then we're gonna unpack it and see what we think. Now, the first one will go to you, Angela. So,
Give me a good one, Shannon. Don't give me the one that's gonna make me be stuttering over here.
It's already numbered number one, so I'm just
already,
reading it.
it's already been decided. So.
Okay.
So Kitty's giving them. Okay, so the first one. I want to be more than friends. I am in a friendship right now that is very complicated. I have been hanging out with him for a very long time. We talked on the phone, online, and in person every day for several months. We both get jealous of each other being with a potential other person, and his body language signifies that he likes me more than a friend. All my friends and his friends all say that he acts as though there is feelings between us, that we don't even have to say anything, but they know we have a connection. He centers all of his activities on what I do every weekend and does everything that every guy will do when they like someone more than a friend. Problem is, he tells everyone that asks him what is going on that we are just friends and that's all he sees me as. Continued. I have during this time fallen in love with him. I don't want to lose our friendship, but I want to be with him more than just a friend. What am I missing, girl?
All right.
Oh, so I get to start that.
Yes.
Yeah, you do, girl.
You're missing nothing, baby. Men tell you by the actions where you are. If that's how he sees you as, and that's how he addresses you as, that's all, baby. It is, some women are convenient. Some women are the homie lover friend. Some of women are just that you keep me company in the right times. And if that's what he's telling people, that's what he feels. That it is. He may play a game because he's bored or lonely or you're a date, but what he says is what he feels, honey. You in love with him, he ain't in love with you.
All that.
What do you think, Askia?
I think I need more context. Like, is there any is it just
You can't get no more context, Rico.
That's all you get.
that's all I get? Okay, all right. I think there's beauty in platonic relationships. I grew up being raised by a single mother, being more comfortable around women than I were guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up from high school to college having more female friends than male friends, and many of those relationships were very platonic. Some we would play, some were my spade partners, and we were completely cool with that. Some were friends I would go hang out to movies with. Some I would actually confide into concerning other relationships I was in. So I think in that situation, I think just value what you have. Don't mess it up. A lot of times sometimes we get so caught up in, I have feelings for this person, but if you don't think it's mutual, then accept the relationship for what it is and take advantage of a person that genuinely may actually like you and like being around you.
Now, Shannon, I mean, it does seem like you're torturing yourself when you have a relationship with somebody. Not you. I'm talking about the person.
I know. I just had to be like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it just seems like that's straight up torture. Like, maybe you got to pull yourself away. Like, it's okay. Like, why torture yourself? You're not going to be happy for them in their relationships. You're not going to give them any good advice if they're going through some stuff with their person because you're going to be wanting to pencil yourself in there. So, I mean,
it's already messed up though.
yeah.
If she's saying that she's in love with him, like everything she does now is tainted because she's gonna always want more. And whenever you're in a relationship and one person is in a situation where I just see you as my friend and I want to be your lover, like it's gonna always have a problem because I'm gonna be pushing for something other than what you are, and then you're gonna eventually see that, like, yeah, that ain't what it is. Like my husband and I, we dated, and we were at different levels of liking each other in a relationship, but we both liked each other in more than just a friendship way. So but when you know that he just your buddy, that ain't gonna work because you're gonna always be trying to put salt in the game. Oh, she ain't good for you because if it was me, I would, or she might not be so overt, but she gonna throw salt. Because women, we will throw salt, mud, dirt, and not just women. Men throw mud.
You know what though?
Player anyway, you don't want him. He be with all the girls.
I think the biggest problem is women have way more power in relationships than they act as if they don't have. Like,
they have what?
Way more power in a relationship, even platonic relationship. Let me give you an example. A lot of times men just happy to be in a friend relationship with certain women. They see themselves because it almost validates that the fact that especially a woman they feel is attractive or beautiful or smart or intelligent. They understand, look, men aren't dumb. We understand that a woman is not gonna waste their time being around me unless that person is a potential opportunity. Like that person.
Oh no, that's not true.
No, man. For the most part, I think it is. No. Seriously. I don't think like women are so specific about who they put in their space.
They
And if
friend zone people all the time, though.
No. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about people in her scenario. She's talking about they're actually spending. I don't mean intimate.
But she wants more. She wants more. He just sees her as his friend, and he's saying that.
Right,
it's not like just he's saying what it is.
Right, but their shit. But what I'm saying is, in that relationship, they sharing some type of intimacy. I don't mean sexual intimacy, but they're sharing something. They're spending time together. Like you don't just get to that point where I'm falling in love with someone and all y'all doing is just playing golf.
Yes, you do.
There's at least some Netflix and chill out.
Well, speaking from somebody who's been in those situations, I've had guys that they enjoy being around me. I was fun. I was a homie, and I might have some physical attributes they like. I didn't like them as anything other than my friend. But the more they got to know me, the more they liked me. I didn't like them anymore. I mean, we just hung out. Just like you hang out with your homeboys, you might know a lot about him, but that doesn't mean you want to be more than that.
No, I think there's value. No, I think women time is more. They see their time much more valuable than men, and I think because of that, they don't waste their time around someone unless that person brings some type of intrinsic value. Now, again, it may start out like I dig this person, but I believe the average female is not going to be around a guy that they feel like there's no attraction to at all.
All I hung with was guys. So being that I am a female, I surrounded myself with people I was cool with, that I had fun with.
No, but that's an attraction. That's what I mean. That's an attraction. I don't mean a physical attraction.
You're right. You mean that there's something.
No, I don't mean a physical attraction. I mean something that pulls you into that person. That's what I mean by intrinsic value. Like, for example, there might be certain people you're around. Like when I was in college, I hung around different groups. There were some groups I hung around that were jocks. There were some groups I hung around that dudes like we talk philosophy. There were some groups that we hung around. All we do was play spades. I was able to move around in those groups because I could relate to all those different groups. There was a part of those groups that I felt comfortable in. Everybody's not that way. And what I'm saying is there might be a guy that speaks to you intellectually. There might be a guy that speaks to you physically. There might be a guy that makes you laugh all the time. But that's an attraction. That's all I mean. I don't mean a physical attraction. But think about it. That is in itself an attraction that has the opportunity to lead somewhere. Any attraction can lead you somewhere.
Why my husband over here co-signing your junk, Rico?
Hey man, appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I like.
Hey man, all I do is speak the truth. That's all I know how to do.
Well, thank you so much, Angela, for joining us. And I forgot. I forgot to say, Angela, you're.
Look, I'll be y'all scapegoat when people ain't there. See you later.
Hey, shout out on
and your eyebrows are dope, Angela. Love your eyebrows, Angela.
Well, while we're transitioning,
hold on, y'all.
a couple of comments in this chat section.
All right, Danielle, please come in, Danielle.
Okay. So Yvette said, I love my platonic relationship that I have with my best friend. He is the best relationship I've ever had. Dad followed that with, at the same time, though, that entire situation in reference to the dilemma, that entire situation is tricky because they may get together and she finds out that she really doesn't benefit from the situation. There's a difference between knowing someone on a friendship level and knowing them on an intimate level. And Yvette followed that with, there's a maturity in duality, which I think those are some excellent points.
Very excellent point. And I would like to take a moment to recognize our newest panelist, Danielle, mayor of Crazy Town. How you doing?
Fan freaking tastic. Long time.
I am excellent. And can you just kind of give people some insight into who you are? And are you still the mayor of Crazy Town? Has anybody taken over?
No, never. Lifetime appointment. So I am Minister Danielle K. Anderson, also known as the mayor of Crazy Town. I am an entrepreneur, an interfaith minister, a spiritual counselor, spiritual worker, coach, speaker, YouTuber. I wear many hats. I'm a mom, and I've been interacting with Kente for quite some time, and it's been a while since we've been able to do something live. So I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah, you're one of my favorite people in the world. So glad that you are here. All right,
Bless
and
you.
you're on the hot seat right away because the next one will be we'll start off with you. So we're doing moral dilemma. So Shannon's going to read the situation. I'll have it on the screen as well, so you can read along. And this one is the only other one that has a second slide to it, Shannon. So let me know when you're ready, and then I'll flash it on the screen.
Okay. I'm ready. The unintentional cradle robber, right?
Unintentional. We probably should have started with Rico first, but no, we'll do Danielle.
Okay. So I've run into a bit of a problem that I sincerely hope you can help me out with. First off, I'm a 20-year-old guy with a history of bad relationships. I just lost my girlfriend of 4 years less than 6 months ago, and now I've got another problem. I recently met a girl on the internet. She is wonderful. We have everything in common. She makes me feel happy. She's adorable. She's just everything I've always wanted and thought I'd never find. Just one problem. After telling me she was 19 and letting me believe that for a month now, she revealed to me last night that she's only 16 and that she is in love with me. I must admit, I'm feeling those old familiar feelings as well.
Oh, change to the second slide.
Please. But this puts a hitch in my proverbial get up. What am I supposed to do? I'm apparently her first love, but just how genuine is that love? And what the heck am I supposed to do with the feelings that I've already developed for her? Undeveloped them. She may not know what true love is, but I do, and I'm feeling it. I'm completely at loss. I can't just walk off and leave her. But I'm 20 years old. I can't develop a serious relationship with a 16-year-old girl, can I? I really need some help here. I've got no clue what to do. Please help me. Unintentional cradle robber.
All right. Good way to start off, right, Danielle?
Horrible. It's horrible.
First of all, if he's indeed 20 years old, his math and life experience don't jive. That's number one. He said, if you can read the very first couple lines, he said he's 20 years old and has a history of bad relationships. And his last girlfriend he was with for how long?
4 years. 6
So
months
he
ago.
was with her 6 months ago. So he was approximately 15 or 16 when they started dating.
So probably
I'm sorry. 16, maybe. Yeah, 15, 16. How many relationships before that?
He ain't no 20.
Had, and I'm not taking away experience from anyone, okay? Because you feel what you feel and all of that. But when you're a teenager, it's difficult. It's really difficult to gauge what a bad relationship is. If you go together with somebody and you break up in 2 weeks, that's not a bad relationship. That's just a teenage. That's just being a teenager, right? So to say that you're 20 and have a history of bad relationships, but you just came out of a 4-year relationship, I think that one, you're selling yourself short, because that's a long time for a young person to be in a relationship. Honestly, the longest relationship that I've had, and I'm nearing a certain age, was 4.5 years. Okay. My longest relationship was 4.5 years. Hasn't been beat yet. And when I was in high school, my longest relationship, my one prior to that, was 3.5 years. So I understand being in a long-term relationship, and you find somebody that you vibe with, you jive with, and it feels good and all that kind of stuff. But that's a kid. That's a tiny little baby child. You can't just go run. What do you mean? What kind of a question is this? Why are you here? You know exactly what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. Get the frick over it. You can't even buy a beer yet. What are you doing?
Right.
Stop. Go. Go. Run far away. You can't do it.
Right.
Say, I'm sorry. Call me in 2 years, maybe. We'll see what happens. But no. Freaking no.
Amen.
Is there anybody who disagrees with that?
I'm totally curious. The conversation I would like to have, because I'm definitely where you are. I want to wish we could go all the way back though and get on that proactive side of the conversation. Why is it okay to be lying about how old you are in the first place? Like, when did that become the thing to do? Like, you putting people up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the first problem is he needs to understand terminology. Cradle robbing is like a 50-year-old dating a 25-year-old. That's cradle robbing.
Right.
And there's nothing proverbial about this. This is straight pedophilia.
Right.
What he got going on right here. This is just sick. So
Right.
what I would tell him to do, man, is run before I call the police on you. That's what I would tell him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing else I can say. This is just all kind of wrong.
I would say this on, because I don't want to blanket people. I don't want to say he's a pedophile because he has feelings for a person.
Right.
Because he fell in love with a person that he did not know.
Yeah, that was definitely just
you know what I'm saying? The person that he fell in love with was not 16.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, it was, oh, she's only 18, and then she dropped the bomb on him. So emotionally, I can understand the conflict, but logically and legally in this country anyway, that's a no-go.
Right.
But
blanketly, 4 years is not a lot of time in between age. My parents were 15 years apart, and in other cultures, 16 could be considered the age of consent for somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's not that weird, but it's not cool. So we just have to, protect yourself, protect this person. This is still a child in the eyes of the law. You can't continue. You just can't.
But all seriousness, this is a maturity issue, because unless this 16-year-old girl scored a 33 on the ACT, what kind of conversation was she saying that made you feel as though you were talking to a 19, let's say 20, whatever, unless you yourself, your mindset. No, seriously. If this is a guy,
because I scored 33 on the ACT, but I can carry a conversation.
No. Listen, let me finish. What I'm saying is, this is a person who's attracted to certain type of conversations. Let's just be honest. Let's not take this personal. Let's not get into feeling. What I'm saying is, this is an individual who he said he's been in a relationship for 4 years, which means he started his relationship around 15, 16 years old, which means he was a child, which means he still has this child mindset. He's talking to a girl he thinks is 19. They're still having childlike conversations. Oh, by the way, I found out she's 16, and that doesn't bother you. The problem is, if the fact that it doesn't bother you and you're still trying to figure out how to make this work, that's a maturity issue. And what I'm saying is, you all weren't even having any conversations that any type of conversation that would even imply that you all can even make a logical adult decision, because that's what this requires right now. It requires this person to make a logical adult decision. And that's what I meant by that. Unless she scored a 33 on the ACT, what kind of conversation did you all have back and forth to allow you right now, with the circumstances that's in front of you, to make a logical adult decision? That's all I'm saying.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right. No, I feel you on that. Yeah. I don't know. Has any guy been lied to by a woman about her age? If so, press 1 in the chat. Or if any ladies have been lied to.
Ladies be lied to.
Hmm?
I was just about to say, what ladies can't be lied to?
No, because I was saying, because it's a guy asking the question. But if any ladies have been lied to, has a guy ever told you he was? Yvette says, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I definitely have.
What he needs to do, he needs to change his circle. Honestly, he needs to get around people his age. He needs to meet real people. Maybe not.
She's real.
Yeah.
Just
No. I'm talking about real people that you can tell. Because look, we don't even know if that's all he don't know yet. That may be the look. If that's the only line, there's probably another one. So this might be more to it. But what I'm saying is you need to meet somebody you can put your hands on, you can sit down, go to Starbucks with, have a conversation with. That's what I'm saying. He's getting catfished.
they met in Starbucks. They was in line right behind each other. Getting this is America.
Has any girls in this chat room ever lied to a guy about her age? Is that, I mean, the statute of limitations is up, so you can admit it.
I've never lied about my age. I never felt like I needed to. But then again, when I was younger, people assumed that I was older. And then got surprised. And then when now that I'm older, people assume that I'm younger. And I'm like, no, baby, go sit down somewhere. So, but I want to just touch real quick on what Rico was saying earlier. I agree with you. It's definitely a maturity issue on both parts. But like I said, he's to those of us here, I feel it's safe to say he's still a baby his damn self. He doesn't know what is what. He's still young. He does have a young mentality. And to counter what you were saying, a 16-year-old girl is not thinking on the same plane as a 16-year-old boy, right? And 20 is just about
equal,
right? It's just about right as far as maturity is concerned. It's real easy for a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl to have just as intelligible, and dynamic, engaging conversation with a college student or professor, for that matter. If they're interested, if they have similar interests, it's easy to make that shift and make that move. And some people are forced to mature early.
Right. Circumstance.
You know what I mean? You don't know what this girl's life is and what she's seen, what she does. She could have been working since she was 12, might have had a kid already. You don't know. We don't know. I'm just talking about myself now, but it's unfortunate that the age difference is so stark. But the biggest maturity issue, I think, is for her, because if she felt like she had to lie in the first place.
Yeah.
And see, Danielle, that's what I'm saying. You're 100% correct. I think we all can agree that women mature much faster than men do. But the fact that she had to create this alter ego and lie, that showed a level of immaturity. So she might be the exception to the rule of that of how women mature. She might be just one of those who are maybe post social media as far as how she communicates, opposed to some that were maybe pre-social media as far as how they communicate. So I just feel like maybe this is a situation where they both have serious maturity issues, but he has to be able to look, feelings don't care about facts, facts don't care about feelings. We all know that. But at the end of the day, the fact is she's 16, you're 20, and you need to make an adult decision. And that's
just
all.
As a side note, let's say Askia, Danielle, if that's your son or your little brother or baby cousin, same thing with you, Shannon, what are you telling them?
Run.
My little brother.
Run. Yeah. He is actually the same age as my daughter in college right now. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
Run, go away. I've told my son, who is now 17. Huh?
No, I just read the comment.
Yeah, I've told my son, who's now 17, he had a little girlfriend a couple years ago, and she seemed nice. She was very respectful and all that kind of stuff. But he would tell me about certain things that she would say and do, and I'm like, nah, baby, you got to go. Run. She nice to me. She's nice to you, but something just don't sound right. We found out later on it was a shiesty little heifer. So I pardon my vernacular, but woo, honey, she. So I mean, if it don't feel right, it's most likely not right. And he says he has these feelings of old familiar feelings. That's all it is.
Right.
It's nostalgia. It's infatuation. It's not love.
Right.
If you have the sense enough to ask the question, that's the first signal.
Yep.
That's your first indication. My grandmother said, "Trust your first mind."
Yep.
Soon as he found out that she was 16, he said, "Oh, wait a minute." He didn't fight for it. He didn't say, "But I love her. I feel like this is the best thing that ever happened to him." You didn't hear any of that in the letter, did you?
No.
Nope.
I feel this way. I don't know what to do. Well, you do know what to do. You just needed somebody else to say it.
Right.
Get out.
Get out, like the movie.
Better hang them feelings out to dry.
All right, so let's do number 3, and Askia, this is going to be on you. So, Shannon, when you are ready, I will put on the slide.
Oh, I'm ready. I got it in front of me.
All right, here we go.
Jealousy is ruining my relationship. Help. Jealousy is ruining my relationship. I don't even know what's real anymore. I am 35 years old and my husband is 38. He is very handsome and a successful attorney in a downtown law firm. He meets competent and attractive professional women every day in his work environment. Frequently, this involves lunches and or dinners with clients and colleagues. He often gets phone calls at home from women, presumably regarding his professional life. We have 2 children, ages 6 and 8. I do not work outside the home at present, but have taught elementary school. While my husband has given me no real reason to suspect him, I find myself obsessing constantly about the possibility of his meeting and falling in love with someone else. I fly into range if he ever mentions another woman, much less casually glances at one. This has caused him to withdraw emotionally and has really eroded our relationship. He seems to feel ill at ease around me and things are getting strained. I know I am wrong to hound him like this, but I can't seem to control my feelings. The green-eyed monster.
All right, so I mean, I can only go about what she said. Bless you. Based on what she said, she has no evidence.
Right.
None whatsoever that her husband's cheating on her. None. That's all I can go by. She's basic. So what it sounds like to me is that she's a beautiful woman who's giving this man some beautiful kids. And in that process, she has developed some insecurity. Perhaps maybe she's, I don't know, maybe gained a little bit more weight. And she's looking at these people who in his professional life. And she feels like, you know, she probably can't compete or I don't know what it is. But right now she's dealing with insecurity issues. And I feel like what I would recommend is that she sits down with her husband, have a conversation, let her know what she needs to hear from him. Say, look, maybe there's some words I'm not getting from you anymore. Maybe you're not spending. Maybe we need to have more date nights. Maybe we need to spend more time with just me and you and not with the whole entire family with the kids. I need to feel like I'm priority. But the jealousy situation is going to cause that's a fire that's been lit that's going to end up turning into a forest fire. And right now it's going past the prescribed burning, and she needs to sit down with her husband, have that conversation. Look, this is how I feel, and just be open and honest with him. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't have it. She doesn't have any evidence. There's nothing from what she said that has given any implication that he's cheating on her. She seems like a hardworking person, and she's just a little insecure about, you know, where she is in that relationship.
Danielle, what do you think?
You hit it on the head. This is a her problem. The problem is, and Coach Danielle she wants to shout, girl, calm the hell down. Listen, you won. You're winning. You got it. He got you. He chose you. He's still with you. You better act like it.
Right.
Stop fighting. Listen, it's one thing to fight. I tell people in relationships it's all the time. Well, that I'm in relationships with all the time. I am willing to fight for you, but I'm not going to fight you for you.
Mm.
You can't fight your man. You know, accusation, suspicion, all that kind of stuff, especially when you have no evidence. That's your own insecurity. What is it about you that you feel like you have to compete with anybody outside of your house? You need to look at yourself and realize that you won, realize why you won, and act like a damn winner.
Mm. Mm.
And you know, you need to hold your head up high. Stop worrying about who's calling him, what female he's talking about at work, and come on, man. We in 2019. Are we still doing this? We still shouting at our mate because there's a female. You have to realize that there's going to be women in his life that aren't you,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that they have his undivided attention. It doesn't mean that his attention is drawn away from you. There's a whole lot more women in the workforce now, especially in high-powered positions, than there were back in the day. This is no longer the old boys club where it's just him and the guys on a golf course. It don't work like that no more. You know, some of them are going to be his higher ups, and he's going to have to answer to them. Period. Get over it. You won. You got it. Hold your damn head up, put your shoulders back, put your sexy shoes on, and strut. What are you competing for? What do you feel like you have to compete? You already won. There's no competition.
Stephanie says, I don't think it's looks. I think she feels like she's not his intellectual equivalent. And then she also says, because she, okay, why isn't this scrolling down? Okay, wait. What I don't think she had made another good point. Where did I lose it?
She emphasized that she also had a career at once.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I accidentally
Deleted it.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, and that's a good point Stephanie raised, because and that can go both ways. I've seen that happen on either side, male or female, right, husband or wife, when they feel as though the significant other is in a specific field where they feel like they can't, when their friends come over and she's sitting, or he or she's sitting down, they're having conversations that she just doesn't feel like she's able to match. She can't have those same kind of conversations. So she all of a sudden she feels intellectually that not only my husband, because look, at the end of the day, I can deal with my husband, my spouse, knowing that that's who they are. If they're intellectual, whatever they are, that may be my yin to my yang. That's how we complement each other. You know what I mean? So that's fine. But when you're around your group of people, and I'm the oddball out, and y'all are talking about, the existence of God through ontological and cosmological arguments, and I'm sitting here like, man, I'm just a Baptist, and I'm okay with what I believe. You start feeling some kind of way. And I think maybe there might be some, and I think that may add to some of her insecurities, that she feels like she's around people, that her husband is around people that she just feels like she just can't have those type of conversations with.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, what do you do if you're him? Like, I'm gonna assume that he loves her, and we're gonna assume that he is not, he ain't stepping out. Like, what do you do if you're that guy and your wife is like that?
But I also think there's other things to consider outside of just her and her relationship with her husband. She is a housewife, and she has children. Mm-hmm. And so she spends more time at home with appliances and then with her children, because I'm assuming that her husband in his law firm, I'm going to assume he does well. So he probably spends more time at the law firm. She's got to try to engage some other adults. That would be helpful. And they need to sit down and have a conversation, maybe about her doing time with girlfriends, if she even has them and they're still in her life. being creative around play dates with other kids who have moms or even parents that she can commingle with while their children are on the playground or wherever they go to do their play dates. She's got to get outside of that house because she's not seeing anything, so her mind is running rampant, and that is a problem.
To add to what Shannon said, I would say this too. I would say exactly what she said. Find people, create a circle, get some friends and go out. But don't use those friends as a sounding board to express your insecurities and talk about what you think your husband is doing, because that's what happens sometimes. Because you get around your friends and be like, girl, I just feel this, and then all of a sudden now you're making it even worse because they may not be in a position to be able to give you sound advice.
They may have something going on that is exactly what you're mentioning, but it's legit that.
It's legit, yeah. And they be like, girl, I'm going to the same thing.
You don't want somebody to be playing hopscotch in the devil's yard. No.
Yeah.
Hopscotch in the devil's yard. I like that. All right. So we're going to go to number 4, and this is going to be to Danielle. We're going back and forth. So,
okay, like a tennis match.
Yeah, just like Serena who just won.
All right. 20 and confused. That's the problem. You're 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have been with my fiance for 2 years. I have lived with him for 1 year. We have been engaged for 16 months, and now I feel like a nagging housewife. He watches my every step. I go to work, and he rings me to see what I am doing. He meets me at the bus stop after work. We don't go out anymore because he doesn't want other men looking at me. Basically, I feel like a child. I seem to be constantly miserable, and if I am happy, he wants to know why. Just in case I'm having an affair. I love him very much, but I don't know if this person I want to be with for the rest of my life. Recently, I met a man 6 years older than me who I'm very attracted to. He sends me flowers all the time, chocolates, teddies, you name it. Over the last week, he has taken me out every day in the little spare time I get. I have slept with him, and he tells me he likes me a lot and wants to spend his life with me. I don't want to carry on cheating, but I don't know which path to take. 20 and confused.
Some of these 20-year-olds.
I don't know why this one was for me. Sweet. Okay. All right.
Look at the draw. That's all.
Come on, Danielle. Bring it in. Bring it in.
Clap her.
like all these babies. What is happening?
He ain't falling good enough. Apparently, he's not good in his stocking because
these grown people problems. I swear. Like, okay, I have a couple of questions. Unfortunately, I don't. We can't be answered because they're anonymous. But I wonder how old the person that she's with, that she's living with is. You've been living, okay, so just doing the math, she's engaged at 20, living together for a year, so she was probably 19 or 18 going on 19 when they moved in. Now all of a sudden he's acting funny, questioning her motives, her moves, her happiness, but then she says she's cheating.
Right.
So first of all, is there a question about why he's acting a certain kind of way? He don't want you to go out. Because when you go out, there's a possibility that you're cheating. Well, hon, you wrong. You wrong and you know you're wrong.
That's why
if you don't want to be with that guy, with your fiance, then don't be with your fiance.
Amen.
If you feel like you can make it work with this guy, have that conversation. I guess I would honestly, honey. What are you doing? How? I'm sorry. It should be common sense, right? It feels like it should.
Common sense is a flower that does not grow in everyone's garden, though.
Point, but God gave everybody a little. They just don't know how to use it. I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not. I'm upfront. I'm blunt. I speak my mind, and sometimes I try to be nice. But why the point of it is the thing that gets me is like the whole first couple paragraphs was talking about this is my man, we've been together this long, we're supposed to get married, and everything was great until he started questioning my happiness and this, that, and the other. And he suspects me of cheating. How long ago did she start?
Right.
Right.
Because she's cheating. Right.
See,
Like,
kids.
hello? He's acting that way because you're acting the way that you're acting, I feel. Now, I may have the timeline wrong, and forgive me if I do, but was that behavior consistent with the time frame that you started dealing with this other man and you admittedly are cheating with?
Right.
If so, what's the question?
Right.
You know, maybe he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, but he's not trying to call you out on it because maybe he doesn't have evidence of it. Now, I will say this: emotional abuse is real, and I don't care what's going on. You shouldn't be talking to people a certain way. You shouldn't be making someone or making it your business to try to get someone to feel something, to feel like they're less than or not appreciated or can't do better or anything like that. So if that's the situation, I understand that's bad. You should leave it. But you're still doing wrong, in your relationship.
Right.
You said that word. I didn't say it. You said it. You said you're cheating. I don't want to keep cheating. So you either have to stop seeing him or you have to break up with your fiance. Flip a coin. Draw a card. You can call me. I do readings. Listen.
Call me now.
But what we can't do is call me now. I got cards right here. Listen, I don't have time for this. Y'all got to get your shit together. Okay? What is happening? I apologize. What is this new 20 is something else.
It's newly stupid.
Right.
What is this new 20? I don't know what's going on. You paint yourself in a corner and then you said, I don't know what to do. Then you had to get out before you started painting. What's happening?
No,
I don't know.
I'll get you her information free. Hilarious. All right, so
I charge. Just so you know, I charge. But I help.
So what about you, Askia? What do you think?
Oh, this is simple. This is what happens when you fall in love with a stripper. Plain and simple. This is what happens. You went to the gentleman's club. You got a lap dance. You fell in love, but you knew her tendencies. That's why you always want her to stay home. Don't go out. Don't go nowhere because you know how you got her. You know how you met her. And obviously, she doing what she do best. I'm just keeping it 100, dog. You don't fall in love with strippers. You don't. Plain and simple. This is a T-Pain problem. This is what this is. Then we can move on. T-Pain problem.
What if she's retired though?
Nah, she's not. Obviously, she's not. She done got a new client, bro.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Yeah. But listen, relationships usually start end how they start.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
If that be the case, then that we're talking about this guy now. The fiance that is acting the way he's acting, but she knew what she was doing.
There's a reason. In all seriousness, though, there's a reason why he didn't trust her.
Right.
Yeah,
there's a reason why I don't want you out, and the reason why I was joking about the stripper thing is because obviously there is something about her physically that he doesn't want everybody else to see.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's not something that's hidden. It's something that maybe she accentuates the way she dressed. Maybe she goes out and she flaunts it and he's like, nah, baby, you stay home. I'll go get the milk. We good. You know what I'm saying? So
that's again, that goes to the other point, that that's a him problem. That's an insecurity issue on his part. I'm not saying that in this case he's wrong in assuming that she's doing something, but at the same time, maybe it wasn't that way. You know that old song, you know, as much as you accuse me of cheating, I might as well.
Right.
It could be that situation because we don't have the timelines really to match it up. She could have been mad. It could have been she was just talking to somebody and she was blowing off steam and it got out of hand. And you know, it happens. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not perfect. I've lived several lives. So I understand how emotions can get involved, but at the same time, like, you know, you're 20 years old.
You know nothing.
What are you doing?
Right. Yeah.
But if that
You can't buy a beer. You can't in DC. You can't even buy a pack of cigarettes.
Oh,
You
wow.
can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? How is it that you have found yourself a person? Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but how is it that you found yourself a person that you feel like you can spend the rest of your life with at 20?
Right.
Always easier to feel that way when having sex.
Mm-hmm.
Clouds judgment.
Yeah, but like Danielle said, look how she's blowing off steam. I mean, look, if I get mad at my wife, I go shoot some basketball. You know what I'm saying? Go get go get your nails done and you blow some steam off.
I came in on the tail end of that first one, and I hear what you're saying. So I need to say that sometimes women have male friends. Sometimes we feel like we need a male perspective, just like some men will ask a woman, listen, I need your advice on something because I can't see it. Maybe you can see something different, right? It could have been something like that, where she felt comfortable, she was talking about a situation that she wasn't sure about, and he gave her advice, he made her feel good, and, you know, she tripped and fell in his lap or whatever.
She was being groomed. I think she's just a vulnerable subject, and
it could be that. It could be that. But again, like I said, you know, she's over 18. She's legal. She can make her own decisions. But the problem is, you have to think those decisions through.
Right.
So you have to. There's one of three things that you can do. You can leave your fiance. You can cut number 2 off, or you can make a clean break and just get out and be by yourself. Because clearly you don't know how your emotions work. So you need to work on you.
Some people
before you can get yourself committed to somebody else.
Stephanie, if that is true, you need to let your male friends go. Stephanie, if you get married, you don't need to have any male friends, okay?
I was reading that as well.
Yeah, wow. And those are not friends. Those are not friends. If you're screwing them, there's something more than friends. So, but
right.
All right, next one.
Before we do that, let's say hi to everybody in the chat.
Most of them left us.
All right. I see Jen in the chat. Dad.
I did.
I see D.
Hi, D.
Bobby, the happiest person in the world.
Bobby.
Stephanie, who will be here tomorrow, and she's going to be giving us some tips and tricks on how we can keep our game tight. We got Free in the house.
Hi, brother.
Kiana's in the house. I'm so happy to see Kiana. And Big Bad Brad is up in there. All right. All right, so let's put up the next slide. Of course, that's going to go to you, Askia.
I hope he and she is at least 25.
It appears so, Rico. Why do we fight about money is the topic. I have been married for 2 years and things have gone steadily downhill. I thought I married my soulmate, yet now we can't seem to agree on anything important. When we were engaged, I thought we agreed on everything. Now, even how we like our pasta cooked is a bone of contention. Our biggest fights seem to be about money. I love nice things in a beautiful environment. I think my husband will be happy living in a cave. Whenever I come home with a new dress or an item to beautify our house, he hits the ceiling. He wants to retire at 50 and sees an expenditure beyond bare necessities as taken away from his nest egg. I was raised in a home where money was seen as a way to live better. He grew up in a poor home where his family skimped and saved to provide their children with a relatively good life. Believe me, I am far from extravagant, but I don't think I should have to defend myself every time I buy something without his approval. Excuse me. I am at my wit's end with this. Please help. Sincerely, Jay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the problem. This is just I think two things. It's two problems I see. Obviously, one or both of them weren't doing this when they were dating. For example, I'm assuming that she was probably knowing how he was, probably being more fiscally responsible. She was probably not spending money or doing all these different things, or he, while he was wooing her, was probably spending money, taking her out, doing all these things. And once they got married, he was like, okay, let's pull it back a little bit. The problem is that they're just not on the same page as a couple. For example, I've been married a long time, but my wife and I, we don't even share the same bank account at all. Now, it's for a reason. It's for that reason. I'm a very fiscally responsible person. She's not, but that's okay. So I don't ask what's in her account and I pay the bills. Not trying to be, masculine, but I do that. So whatever she makes, I don't question. But the bill, but I know if we have a joint account and it's time to pay a bill,
money
probably, some money might not be there. So what I do is to keep us, to make everything happy, make everyone happy, and to make sure we get along fine. I make sure we don't put ourselves in a position where I'll get upset down the road. With that said, I think the problem is they need to sit down and start acting like a married couple. They need, because I would say being fiscally responsible is the right thing for a couple. You need to make sure that if you're trying to, because the biggest problem you can have in a marriage is financial.
Absolutely.
Financial problems can ruin a marriage quickly, because when you have money problems, then money problems pretty much begins to affect every single thing. How you eat, how you pay your bills, how you do this, how you travel, how you can't travel, what you're going to buy, all these different things. Why can't we have another kid? Why can't we do X, Y, and Z? Why can't we get this house? So I feel like my advice would be, you all need to sit down, plan as a couple, act like a couple, save like a couple, and maybe set up another account where you use for travel, you use for, movies, or you use for just leisure. Put that money away, so maybe there could be a way they could reach some type of common ground or compromise where they can say, look, I understand, I don't want you to feel like you can't enjoy your life. You work hard. I want you to be able to get your money, spend money, but we got to be adults. We got to save. We got to save for our future. We need to invest. We need to do these things. So I feel like there's some immaturity on her part by not really valuing the dollar and assuming that he's kind of holding her back from living her best life because he's trying to provide a better life for his family.
When do you have that conversation then about finances with a significant other?
They should have had it before they got married.
They should have had it before they got married. Well, exactly. But this is the thing. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danielle.
Now we're right here right now. We have to deal with the situation at hand. There's nothing wrong. I think. See, there's nothing wrong with the way that either of them handle money. The problem is how they communicate about it, right? And their value. I don't think that she doesn't value money. I think that she actually loves money and appreciates it because she puts it to use. Okay. and there's it's kind of a metaphysical thing, but the law of use means if you don't use something, it goes back. if you don't use a muscle, it shrinks and dies. And another way is if you hold on to something for too long, like you're holding on to money, you're holding on to treasures, you don't use it, then you get locked down spiritually, you get weighed down. I feel like he's weighed down by the pressure of trying to save for and hold on. Like, you don't want to spend like one extra dollar, one extra, one dress. You know what I mean? I can't hang a picture on the wall. Look, come on now. You want to live in a home, or do you want to live in a pool? My dad, here's one of the traditional ways of how relationship worked was my parents. My dad made the money, and he gave it to the house. The man gets the house. The woman makes the home, right? So that was that dynamic. My mom gave my dad an allowance, which is how they flipped it, because my dad was terrible with money. If he had it, he would spend it all over the place, even till his old age. We're adults. We went shopping with my dad one time. He needed to get some stuff for his place, and I saw something I like. He said, "Put it in the cart. Go ahead, get it. Go ahead and pick it up." I'm like, "Daddy, this is not about me. This is about you. I can buy my own stuff. Relax." He was the spendthrift, and she was the saver, because her parents, my grandparents, they actually were very wealthy. But they started out being very poor, coming from very humble, Southern, just born in the 1910s and 20s, going through depressions and wars and stuff. You gotta hold on to a penny. You gotta be able to make more money, have different hustles and stuff. I'm talking about picking corn on the field, taking care of people's kids, cleaning banks and houses and all of that, just to get through life. But they built themselves up. And my grandparents were millionaires, multimillionaires. And my grandfather would still save the cups from the yogurt. The yogurt cup, the plastic cup with the top. He would rinse that out and put it on the side of the sink, even though we had a cabinet full of glasses and plastic cups and all. We're like, "What are you doing?" He said, "That's a good cup." I said, "For what?" "What are you using that for?" You know what I'm saying? But it was just built into him to save things. We don't throw things out that are useful, but then it becomes a mess, and it becomes, So I'm just sharing that experience to say that there are different ways of looking at it. On the flip side, my grandmother was also very responsible. She had her own business and all kinds of stuff. She was the one that spent the money. She bought the house. She decorated the house. She paid for the vacations and all that kind of stuff. But she recognized the importance of, like you said, okay, we have this, we can spend this. So it's a compromise of what you have and what you want. And it's good to prepare for the future, but nothing is guaranteed. So you should be able to enjoy what you have while you have it, because you certainly can't take it with you. But definitely you need to have some responsible conversation. You need to sit down and look at what do the finances look like? What are our expenses? What are our goals? Right? And what can we do? They do have to have that conversation. She needs to look at because maybe she just sees the account, but she doesn't see the budget. Right? And maybe if she sees a certain amount of money in the account, she says, "Oh, okay, the dress is only $50, $60, $100, whatever, and we have all this money left." She may not know what that money is allotted for. Fair enough. But if she needs to tighten up and he needs to loosen up, let's put it that way. Maybe, if she had her own account, she can do with it whatever she will. If he could loosen up just a little bit so that she could be happy. Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be happy? Do you want, what I'm saying? Do you want to be comfortable financially, or do you want to be You know, do you want to relax now?
Absolutely.
You can do both. I think that they're both right, but they just need to agree. They need to get to a point of where they agree. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, you can do both, but you have to plan, and I think that's the problem. And so you're absolutely correct. I like what you said. You said yeah, they should have talked about it, but at the beginning, but like what you said, Danielle, you said, but look, this is where they are right now. So they need to address where they are right now. Because I usually what a lot of men do, I'm guilty. I did it. When you're dating that significant other, you do a little bit more than you would normally do. You know, you like that person, so you spend money you typically wouldn't spend. You do things you normally wouldn't do. You take her place you normally wouldn't take her. Then all of a sudden, when you get married, you're like, okay, not that I don't want to keep doing those things, but we're a family now. We're trying to build something together now. And so, but I think a lot of times, if you don't have those conversations in the beginning, it's so hard to have them after, because now the first thing is, well, we used to do this before. It wasn't a big deal then. It wasn't a problem then. So that conversation needs to be had. But I think, like you said, if you plan, you can do both. But you gotta plan. You gotta have a goal.
If for right now, I mean, she knows. Well, from what we know, from what she shared, he wants to retire when he's 50. Do we know how old they are now?
No, it didn't specify that.
So I don't know what that looks like. Is that 10 years, 20 years, 5 years? Huh? They're not 20, right? So 20. Is that 20 years? Is that 10 years? Is that 5 years? We don't know what, and we don't know how much, what is the retirement amount. So we need to get to a point where everybody's on the same page. And if he can tell her, listen, this is where we are, this is where I want us to be, and this is what I want to be able to do for you and for me for our future. Great. Then she can see if she can see the vision, then she can do her part to assist in that vision, whatever that looks like. If that looks like, well, shoot, you know, if I pick up a part-time, you know, we can get there faster, right? And I could, or, you know, we can either get there faster, or I can buy my own stuff. I can buy your presents and not, you know, don't have to work a separate account or anything like that. Listen, there's many ways to do it. And at the same time, if she's very clear on what she would like for the home to make it feel, if she feels uncomfortable in her home, what are you working for? You know, as a husband, my question is, as a husband, if, you know, and, you know, I'm not disparaging men at all, but men tend to be very tunnel vision, right or wrong. You know, they have a, you know, they're focused on one thing at a time, and when they're on it, and they don't see the bigger picture sometimes. Or sometimes the bigger picture is not what everybody else sees, right? So he's the long term, she's looking at it right now. She's like, you know, in order to get to the long term, we need to deal with it right now. And right now, she's not comfortable in her home. She doesn't, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't feel good about where she is, because it doesn't look like home to her. It doesn't feel like home to her. She doesn't feel pretty, so she needs to buy herself a dress. What the heck? But as her husband, I would say, now, I'm not married, never been married, so far be it for me to tell married. But I would think that it's your job as a spouse to make sure that the other one is happy, to the best of your ability. Not make them happy, but to make sure that they are, and to assist them in whatever their goals are. And so if his goal is to retire at 50, she needs to figure out what she needs to do in order to make that happen. However, if she feels like a home should feel like a home, then, and money is to be enjoyed, then he needs to figure out how she can feel comfortable in their home and how she can enjoy herself without blowing the budget.
Yeah.
Communication is not key. That's a mistake. Comprehension is. People need to, because they're talking. They clearly know what's going on. They know what the backgrounds are. They know what their, you know, how they each other feels about the money. But I don't think they understand each other as far as what the goals should be together. You can't make individual goals. It's one thing to support each other's individual goals, but what are your couple goals? You need to have couple goals, not just this is what I want to do. And my husband supports me, and this is what he wants to do, and I support him. What do y'all want to do, and how can you work together to get that done?
But there's a lot of selfishness on I would say on her part, but maybe both parts too, because she emphasized how both grew up. He grew up not having a lot, so this is obviously a guy who grew up poor and don't want to be poor again. Grew up not, so he knows what it's like probably to be the third kid in the same bathwater. Like I don't want to grow up like that no more. I don't want my kids like that no more. So she said she grew up where money wasn't. They didn't see money the way his family saw money. Well, they didn't because he made it clear he didn't have no money. So he didn't have no money to see money. So I think this is just a prime example of how important it is. And look, there's no such thing as the perfect couple, but it's just how important it is for couples when they get together to be as equally yoked as possible. To have all those communications, to talk, look, no, I told my little brother, and he'll tell you right now, I said, look, man, he tell me he likes a girl, what's her credit score? Ask her. I'm just keeping it 100. You want to buy a house one day? Don't be surprised. Ask these questions now. Don't get so caught up in the superficial. Don't get so caught up in, the booty and all these other things, man, that you can't do the things that you want to do, and you feel like, oh my god, because this is what happens. All of a sudden now, and it's his fault. You start looking at her, and you don't appreciate the person that you fell in love with because you're letting money now camouflage the relationship, and you know that there's more to her than just her the way she spends. But you don't care about that anymore. All you care about is she's not, she don't see the end game. She doesn't value money. And so I just think this is a prime example of people got to get on track in the beginning. Try to communicate those things, ask those serious questions. It's so crazy how we're afraid to ask questions in the beginning, and then we'll scream and holler and yell when we get married. That don't even
right. And I don't mean to harp on this too much, but I do have to disagree with you a little bit on the fact that when you said that there's some selfishness on her part. And what I mean, it's not that she's selfish. I think that she wants for her husband what she has had. The ability to enjoy what you have while you have it. Not saying spend it all, but what's the point of laboring all this time if you can't see any of the fruit? If you have a house with nothing in it, there's nothing wrong with having a minimalist lifestyle, but is everything that you have, does it bring you some comfort? Does it bring you some joy? And all she's trying to do is brighten up his life. Now, that may not be what you want, but that's, again, it's a conversation they need to have now. And it's, to me, on his end, I think that he may get frustrated because she doesn't see the vision, but that's probably because he hasn't fully explained it. If he just says, I want to retire at 50 and take care of all the bills, then that's cool. But what does that really look like? And because of the way that he was raised, I would venture to say, and I'll be bold enough to say, that he's operating in fear. And instead of responsibility. I think that he's operating in a place of, I don't want to be where I was, and if I don't do this, then this will happen. And it's good to learn from your experience and take action to prevent, bad experiences from happening again. But when you operate it from a place of fear, then you can't enjoy yourself. Because, okay, so let's say you get the money. You get all the money that you want. You retire at 50. Then what? Now you've lived your whole life not spending any money. Now you're just sitting in a boring ass house with no money, with a whole bunch of money and nothing to do because you don't want to spend it. Because once he has it, then where you're at. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to use it.
No,
I like to treat myself. If you're not going to use the money. You know what I'm saying?
I like.
Let me say this last point, Kente. I like everything you said, Danielle, was on point. And what I like about what you said was there may be that when you said she may not be as selfish as I think, and I agree with that. But this is the problem: if she really wants him to be exposed and to see another side, then don't come home and say, "Baby, look at the dress I bought." Say, "Hey, baby, look, I'm tired of you wearing these Crocs. Here goes some Ferragamos I bought you."
Right.
Then give him that exposure. Then you know what I mean? And I think what happens sometimes is,
I see what you're saying. To
you know what I'm saying? But you're right. But sometimes the selfish it appears selfish when it's look at what I bought me. But I'm trying to, but that's not exposing my husband to something different. If you really want him to see something different and expose him to something different, say, look, babe, I'm sick and tired of you wearing these boo-boo jeans. Look, man, let's go to the store and let me get you cut in a custom fitted suit.
Right.
It's courtesy of me. You know, let it, and then once he begins to feel that, trust me, then he'll be like, okay, I like the way this suit feel. I like the way these Ferragamos feel. I like this Patty Philippe watch. Okay, and then he'll start loosening up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that. I understand what you're saying on that. But then again, it can maybe an assumption on her part that he doesn't necessarily like nice things.
Right, and that could be that too.
Exactly. Because of the way that he presents himself, the way that he's living his life. You know, she said he's happy to live in a cave because you don't have to spend anything to decorate a cave. But it's not about. So she may be assuming that he doesn't like the nice things and he doesn't want the nice things, so she wouldn't buy it for him because he hasn't shown any personal interest himself in those things.
Right.
So
I agree.
Again, it's all in conversation. You have to talk. You have to understand where each one is coming from, and if there's something that you want, figure out how to get it.
Mm-hmm. So
figure out how to get it and work together.
So Askia, are you very generous with your black card?
With my wife, I'm very my wife. I'm giving you a prime example, and this is me just being just sharing because I think it fits this. I did the same thing. Even though I said in the beginning, I may have extended myself more than I wanted to. I understood that I created something that I couldn't just stop. So I would, but at the same time, what I started doing was I started exposing my wife to things that I was accustomed to, and now what she's done now is certain things that she won't even spend money on that she normally would, because now her exposure to certain things, certain watches or different things like that, she's like, nah, I'll just let my husband get that because I can't wear this anymore. You know, I don't want that bag anymore. I want this bag now. And now I find her being even more fiscally responsible, because now what she ends up doing now is she's like, okay, she sees that if we can continue to kind of do the things that my husband is, investing and doing these different things like that, our in life, even like you said, nothing's promised, but we're working toward this will be how we'll just live every day. Like we'll be able to get up and go. Like the goal is to say, hey, you want to go somewhere? Let's just get on the airplane and go. Let's not worry about packing bags. We'll get our stuff when we get there.
Right.
And I think that's what I meant by planning. You plan for these things, man, but still allow like I said, allow them to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You work hard, enjoy the fruits of your labor, but still make sure you have a plan, because I think that's the problem with a lot of marriages now. They don't have those, they don't communicate those things, and then they start wrestling with money. Well, I deserve this, or I can't do this, while I get that. And a lot of times they spend money as a result of a way to get back at that person.
That's good.
All right. So this is the last one is going to be to you, Danielle. And let me put it up on the screen.
No more babies. Don't give me no more babies.
I don't think
I break up with my girlfriend for this new girl I like.com. I really need some advice. I recently met this girl at orientation for this new job I started. It is at a huge office, so we don't really work together. I think she is really great, and I want to get to know her better. The thing is, I'm already in a relationship and have a girlfriend. We have been dating for about 1.5 years now. She has broken up with me on several occasions, but I always manage to kiss up and get her back. She hasn't broken up with me because I cheated or anything like that. It's that we are both so different and we both sometimes agree that we are not compatible. Now, this other girl that I met seems to like me, but she is always so busy. She goes to school full time and works part time. When I call her, she never really has time to talk to me and says that she will call me back, but then she doesn't. Is she just playing games? Maybe she is still immature. I don't know. I just can't stop thinking about this girl, and I know it's not fair to the girl I have been with for the past year and a half. I don't know what to do. Should I pursue this new girl and risk losing something that is already there, or should I stay with the old girl and maybe get dumped again in the future? I can't get this new girl off my mind.
Okay. I keep getting the cheaters, I get the babies. Okay. So you say this person has been with their girlfriend for a year and a half, but said that they have broken up several times.
Mm-hmm.
Several to me means more than 3. That's too many times in too short a time, first of all. So that relationship is unstable anyway. And the reason that it's already off. And what he said was, I assume it's he. What was said was that they kept getting back together because he was kissing up, or they were kissing up to her. So to me, it sounds like he was scared of being lonely. They're scared of being lonely. They got something, they don't want to lose it. And it sounds like another young person. That, you know what I'm saying? That sometimes we go with what we know instead of being by yourself. You'd rather be, how did the song go?
I can do bad.
I'd rather have bad times with you.
Oh yeah.
Than good times, because you have to look for somebody else. You got to go through the whole dating process again, maybe, and figure that out. And sometimes people get lazy that way. But I feel like that relationship is not stable in the first place. And so if you do want to pursue this other person, I say absolutely go for it after you have ended the first relationship. But I would also say this: don't be surprised if it ends up not working, because it just may not work. You don't know them well enough, apparently, to know if do they have a man or a significant other. Are they just super focused, super busy? Do they have kids? Are they in school? Are they going to have time enough to invest of their own energy to pursue a relationship? Is that something they're even interested in? I would say that, one, you need to get out of the relationship that you're in because it sounds tumultuous and messy anyway. And if you want to learn more about this other person, absolutely go ahead, learn about it. But if it ends up that doesn't work and you're by yourself, then you're just by yourself. Right. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
That's probably a very necessary thing, because it sounds like there are some issues personally with being alone, and sometimes it's very necessary to be alone. And I will say this: I've had the greatest times being alone. I've had amazing times being alone. You know what I'm saying? I love being in a relationship, but I also love being by myself because I love myself. And the reason why I love relationships is because I love me so much.
Right.
I've learned, and it took a long time to get there. But because I know how to love myself properly now and care for myself properly now, I know what to expect. I don't even demand anything. I command a certain level of attention and affection or whatever from my significant other because I know how to love me. And so because I know how to love me, he knows how to love me. Right? So if you know how to love you, if you can't be by yourself, you can't effectively be with somebody else. You need to learn who you are, what you want, what you need, what you require, and what complements that. This person sounds like she's very interesting and compelling, but she might turn out to be a bitch because she's so busy. She ain't got nothing else to do.
Right.
She ain't got time for all that. She ain't trying to get burned no more. She ain't trying to, she ain't about no rebounds. She got standards. She got goals. You got to be on the same page. And I'm not saying that, having all that makes you a bitch, but she just might be. You just don't know because you said you don't have that much time to spend together anyway when you're at work. She might just be like, no, I don't date people at work, period.
Right.
Any number of things can happen. I'm not saying don't do it because of that. I'm saying don't be surprised and don't think that it's a failure if it doesn't go the way you want it to go. Right. But regardless of her, get the heck out of that other one because it's just not working.
Yeah.
It's just not working. We've been 18 months it's not a long-term relationship, but it's long enough. It ought to be long enough for you to understand, if it's going well or not. And if you've broken up several times in 18 months, that's
crazy.
Just move on.
That's crazy. Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's a lot of times to be broken up in that period of time. I mean,
as an adult.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're talking about adults again. As an adult.
Yeah, that sounds like some junior high type stuff, high school. But shout out to Usher. Hilarious.
Even when I was let me think about this for a second. Even when I was in high school, I had some breakups, but we were together solid for 2 years before we broke up the first time. I'm not like everybody else, trust me, but that's and and then it was
some people use breaking up as like a sword, like their Excalibur sword. So it's like if I don't get what I want out of you, I'll break up with you. Like some people will do that, and some people fall for it. It's like I call it the nuclear option. Breaking up, right? Because that's finale, right? So maybe that's what it is a way to try to get him the way that she needs them. Is like, oh, I'll break up with him, and then he'll see the light, and then he'll try to come in. Condoms don't protect you from herpes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think your analogy is slightly mixed up because Excalibur was true, and
well, yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? However, it's definitely some people do cry wolf a lot with that one, and that ended up being the same situation with my with my first boyfriend in high school. We were together, like I said, 3.5 years, and stuff happened, and we broke up, got back together, broke up, got back together, but for the most part, we were solid. It was toward the end that it was kind of rocky. And then he decided that he wanted to write me a letter to break up with me. And I said, okay. He was pissed.
I bet. Still ain't got over.
He was pissed. He said the dog. He said, what do you mean you agree? You think this is the right thing to do? Any other time you would break your neck for us to get back together? I said, yeah, no, my neck hurts. I'm tired. I don't want to. I don't want to anymore. Like, if you want it to work, then work it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, then don't. If you don't trust yourself away from me, if you don't think that you can behave, then fine. Go do you. Be happy. It's fine. I'm good now. I'm tired of getting hurt. I'm tired of being, I don't want to do all that anymore. And that's the problem. Because eventually you keep doing that, he's going to get, if he stays with this relationship, that's what's going to end up happening. They're going to keep breaking up. They're going to keep getting back together. They're going to keep breaking up, keep getting back together. And eventually somebody's going to get tired of it. And I feel like she has the upper hand. His girlfriend has the upper hand in this situation because he always comes back to her, right? And so, you teach people how to treat you.
Amen.
If things don't work out, you're not compatible. Somebody has, an attitude that day. It's 80 degrees on a Thursday. No, whatever the reason may be. Okay, now you're broken up again. And then in 2 weeks, you cry, you play the sad song, you eat some ice cream, you go hang out with your boys, and then like, I can't do this no more. I need you back. I need you back. She knew that.
Mm-hmm.
She knew that she would be calling.
Mm-hmm.
She knew that, and that's why she did it in the first place. That's a bad cycle to start. It's a bad habit to get people into.
Right.
If you spoil her, she gonna act spoiled. That's what I tell my boyfriends too. If you spoil me, I'll act spoiled. Don't be surprised when I start whining because you didn't give me what I want. If you keep it up. Remember I told you. But everybody's not me. Everybody's not gonna give you the warning up front.
Right.
But patterns do tell. If this is what keeps happening, it's gonna keep happening until you get tired.
Mm-hmm.
So how long until you get tired? I would say not to wait. I'd say be tired now. Get yourself tired now, especially if you're interested in somebody else.
Right. Yeah. The whole grass is greener. In this case, it may be. It's not always greener, but in this case, it might be. So I don't know. Ski, if that was your homeboy, what would you say?
I think we have this. I think we're developing this really skewed concept of happiness. I think the biggest problem people have in relationships is that they think that their significant other is responsible for their happiness, and that's the worst. That's the furthest thing from the truth. If Danielle said something, if you can't find, if you're not comfortable who you are. Like, the problem is, the reason why there's so many people that drift from relationship to relationship to relationship, they say, well, I'm not happy. Like, I remember when Brad Pitt was married to
Angelina Jolie.
No,
Jennifer Aniston.
the
Yeah.
chick,
Jennifer
Aniston, and he was filming the movie with
Mr. and
Angelina
Mrs. Smith.
Jolie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and
Great
they ended up hooking up. A really good movie. They ended up hooking up. And he was being interviewed by Barbara Walters or somewhere, and he admitted, look, I was on the set with her, fell in love, but he said, I just want to be happy. That was his answer. I just want to be happy. So what he was saying was basically, I met this chick on the set, and now I'm happier with her than I was with my wife. That's a problem, because the problem is that we feel as though if I'm not happy in a relationship, and I'm not talking about you're in an Ike Turner relationship. I'm not talking about you got somebody beating you and verbally abusing you, all these. No, I'm saying that things just aren't going the way you want them to go. Then a lot of times you got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what are you doing to make this relationship better? It takes two, and if you weren't happy entering a relationship, or there was something, because the average relationship that you're in, it's you're not in a relationship because you were compatible. You're in a relationship because you were attracted to that person in the beginning. And I'm not saying you don't find compatibility,
Right.
but there's something in the beginning that was superficial, that was whatever it is that you saw, that you noticed, that led you to get to know that person. Unless you're a sapiosexual and you were minding your business one day and you heard somebody quote Shakespeare and you turned around like, I'm in love. That don't happen.
Even still,
and even then, exactly.
To sustain it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I say that all the time. People are not responsible for your happiness.
That part.
And I lived a lot of lives. My ex-fiance, when he proposed to me, or when we discussed getting married, because it was no formal proposal, but we discussed getting married, and he said, you complete me. And I cringed. I said, no. I actually turned him down the first time he asked me, because I said, no, I can't complete you. You have to be a whole person. I don't want to complete you. I want to compliment you because I'm whole. So if
That's
I add
it.
you to me, what does that make me? Now I'm 1.5 people? No.
No, that's a good. No, that's a good point though. That's a good point, Daniel. People aren't whole. Not everyone, but the problem is in relationships like that, a person not coming in there whole. I'm not saying they're damaged, but they feel like that person does complete them. They feel like that person. The idea of relationships is that I have some intrinsic value. You have some intrinsic value. There's something about you that adds equity to my life, and there's something about me that I hope adds equity to your life. You know, I'm an asset to you. You're an asset to me. I'm not a liability to you. Not a liability to me.
Right.
You know, and I think that becomes an issue when you don't come in, you don't come into a relationship knowing your worth and feeling good about who you are and what you have to offer. Matter of fact, you don't have people I know like that, and I have some homeboys like that. Oh man, a girl turn them down, they don't care because they feel like, oh, you missed out. You know what I mean? It's like because they feel like they have something to offer and you just didn't want it. They don't feel like, oh man, she turned me down. No, she's like, oh well, I guess she don't know what she lost. And I think that's the type of attitude you gotta have sometimes. You gotta have an attitude knowing who you are and what you have to offer in a relationship and try to meet somebody that has that same type of mindset. And I think it's easy to be more compatible that way.
Yeah, I think where we get caught up sometimes, we meet people who do show. I mean, it's important. People, we learn from each other, right? And it is important to find someone that teaches you about yourself, right? Like with Brad and Angelina, you know, she probably showed him some things that he hadn't seen before.
I bet she.
You know what I mean?
Wow,
behave. but you know, she had that same effect on Billy Bob Thornton too.
Yeah,
I believe she's an enchantress, and I'm actually here for it. But the point that I make is like, you know, when you like we were talking about previously, is like if you're exposed to certain things by certain people, then you learn about yourself and you say, oh, he completes me, he's everything I'm not, or he brings out the best in me and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, all of those things are wonderful, but they're not complete. You know, it's not the be all and end all. You have to take from that what you learn, you like, experiences that you have that you're not used to, that are enjoyable. Learn more about, you know, reflect on that and not make it that person's responsibility to do that. I'll also say this, that again, we were talking about earlier, what you do in the beginning, you have to continue to the end. How you get someone is how you should be keeping that person. Because you set a bar for yourself. But some people don't have a bar. They want somebody else to be, people get lazy because they've been hurt and like, I just want somebody to make me happy. Well, you're going to be unhappy for a very, very long time. Unless you find somebody that shows you that you have to be happy on your own.
You know, the best advice someone ever gave me, he said, people only know how to do what they know how to do.
Right.
He said, people only know how to do what they know how to do. And when you understand that, you may not always accept what a person does, but you will no longer expect from certain things from that person now.
Right.
You don't have this expectation, this false expectation. And I think that's sometimes the biggest problem. We come into relationships with an expectation, but we don't take responsibility because of why we accepted this individual, which end up leading us to have this certain expectation. If all you do is focus on what you expect, you're putting all the accountability on that person. You say, well, they didn't do this, I expected more. But you got to ask yourself, why? I accepted this in the beginning. I accepted this person. So if you take that responsibility and that accountability, then now you can take responsibility and say, you know what? The reason why I entered into this relationship is because I accepted X, Y, and Z. Therefore, I expected this, but it was based on what I accepted.
Yeah.
And that ends up being a huge problem. So once you realize that a person only knows how to do what they know how to do, you may not always accept everything they do, but you will definitely not expect these certain things that they do either.
And there's a couple of things about that. Like one, you only know how to do what you know how to do, but it doesn't mean you can't learn. But
Definitely, I agree with that. I
you
agree with that.
definitely can learn. You can't just say, "Oh, well, that's just how he is." But then you can't expect somebody to change just because they can learn doesn't mean that you're the best teacher. And that's where a lot of women, for
Yeah.
decades and decades, well, it seems like since the beginning of time, women always try to change a man. You don't ever want to change anybody. You can't. Nobody can change unless they want to be changed, right? And number two is you can't expect from anyone anything more than you would do for yourself.
That's right. That's right.
You can't it's like I was saying earlier, if you love you, then you know how you should be loved. If you know how you want to be treated, then you know how to treat other people, and you know what behaviors and activities that you're willing to accept and tolerate. If you don't know what you want for yourself, and you don't know, if you don't treat yourself well, if you don't do things, how can you expect it from somebody else? But I'll make it plain and simple. Girls like myself, we like to get our nails done, we like to do our makeup, we like to get our feet done and stuff like that. When I was single, I was doing it for myself. And I didn't ask my man when I started dating, I didn't ask him to take me to the nail shop or anything like that, but he saw that it was something that I expected of myself. It was a standard that I held myself to. So he said, eventually one day he said, "Come on, let's go get your nails done."
Mm-hmm. Now, but you know what? That goes back to what you said earlier. We talked about when the individual said told you that you completed him.
Right.
The problem is if you don't understand the intrinsic value that you bring to a relationship, if you don't understand, if you don't come in, like as you said earlier, whole in a relationship, then you said something that I really like. You said just because they only know how to do what they know how to do doesn't mean they can't evolve or they can't learn new things. But if that significant other is not an asset in a relationship, does not bring intrinsic value to the relationship, then they can't provide any exposure to allow that person that they're with to develop, not change, but expose them to things that they can find out that, hey, I didn't know about these things. I didn't know about X, Y, and Z. And they find interest in those things. The problem is we're trying to change a person, but we're not trying to make them not trying to take a part of us while we're whole and say, hey, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? Like I was sharing earlier, when I started I started buying my wife Gucci stock. I started buying her stock in companies that she likes spending money on. When she realized now, wait a minute, I'm making money off Gucci now.
Yeah.
I'm making money off Nike now. I'm making money off Louis now. The mindset changes.
Yeah.
The mindset changes.
It's absolutely.
So you got to.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just
No, you're good. You're good.
On that one particular ex of mine, my ex-fiance, when I said no at the beginning, it wasn't because I didn't want to be married to him. It was because I didn't want him to think that he was not a whole person. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to make sure that he saw that he was whole. And I took the time to explain to him, to show, you're an excellent father. We didn't have kids together, but he was raising his kids and I was raising mine. I said, you're an excellent father. You're a wonderful provider. You're intellectual. You like to learn things all the time. How can you not consider yourself a whole person? And now I did not change him, but I offered the perspective. And once he got that, he stood a little taller. He drank a little less. You know what I mean? We did a little more, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just that. And I said, I don't complete you. I compliment you. because all of the things that make you you and all of the things that make me me, they jive.
That's good.
It's not puzzle pieces. It's bookends, right? We work together because the things that you are that I'm not work, right? What you can't do, I can do. And what we can both do, we do it amazingly, right? We pick up each other's slack, but that doesn't mean that one person is less than the other, because where I fail, you got me. And if you fall, then I got you. But that doesn't mean that we can't do whatever we do apart. We've been doing it this long. You know what I'm saying? So you have to, it's a perspective thing. So to wrap it back up to where the original person is coming from, if you keep running back to the same person who has said several times in a very short time, this isn't working, then believe it, agree with it. It's clearly not working. And if you were really truly about that person, then this other one wouldn't be a question. There's gonna be plenty of interesting people. I know. In fact, I'm very popular. Okay, I'm kind of a big deal, and I'm kind of cute. So I know a lot of men, and I deal with them a lot. Now, does that mean that just because that they show interest that I'm interested in them? Not in the slightest, because I'm happy with what I have, or who I have, I should say. And I have to remind people that, like, no, I'm good. And they're fantastic, phenomenal men, amazing men, right? You know, educated, well versed, well heeled, well traveled. You know what I'm saying? Got money, big money. I ain't worried about it. I'm not worried about that. Because, I mean, personally, I've lived in mansions, I've lived in cars. You can't impress me with that. You got to come with something better than that. And so far, I haven't found it. I got what I want. I'm happy with what I have. So if you were happy in your relationship, then another person with all the amazing attributes and interesting, whatever, wouldn't make any difference. So just call it quit. Just, cut your losses and keep it moving.
That's it. Good stuff.
We can't hear you, Kente.
I'm sorry about that. I want to thank this panel, and I want to. It's a great show when I don't really have to say much, and I have two wonderful panelists who just give great insight. And I'm so glad, because I've been wanting to get Askia on the show for the longest, and Danielle, and it just worked out perfectly. These are kind of like the two people I've been wanting to get on for a while. So, I admire both of you people very much. And I'm so glad that you guys were able to share with us. And this is day 4 of Mars Venus week. Tomorrow, I know Dante is going to love tomorrow's show. It's going to probably be his favorite of all the shows we do, because Stephanie is going to come on. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Steph.
Yeah.
I didn't even see Dante there. Hey.
Yeah. He's going to love tomorrow's show, because Stephanie's going to come on and she's going to drop us some game tomorrow. All right, so please come through and check out day 5 or day 4 technically, because we weren't on last night. So I'm going to start off, of course, ladies first. Danielle, how can we get you in social media and all that good stuff?
Oh my gosh, follow me on all the socials. What's the best way? You know what? Just Google me. Danielle K. Anderson is my name. I am. You can look up Crazy Town Mayor on Facebook. On Instagram, I am CT_Mayor. It's Danielle K. Anderson on YouTube. I'm all over the place. Just like I said, just find my name. I'll pop up.
All right, thank you. And Askia, how can we get you in social media? And have you real quick, have you bought anything to add to your collection lately? Your comic book collection? And
oh man, I'm always adding to the comic book collection. That's not, man. You don't need to start that right now. You don't need to start pulling books out, right? Yeah, but definitely, man. I've been adding to the collection, man. But I'm not really big on social media. But what I would like to do is, I was sharing earlier that my company we just launched a new platform called Momentum. It's still beta, but we've been getting a lot of good responses. And the goal of Momentum was, uh, when I do a lot of brand sessions for clients, there's a lot of insights that we provide, and we learned that they're having a lot of difficulty scaling their business and getting the proper resources and tools to build it. Starting a business is easy, but scaling a business is very difficult. So we started this platform called Momentum, and the whole goal is to provide insights from various entrepreneurs who have gone through certain things in their career, gone through the ebbs and flows. And what they do is they provide insights to help young entrepreneurs or people that feel like they've lost momentum, they're kind of losing their focus. And so we just launched that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's spelled MOMNTM. It's a variation of it. MOMNTM, momentum.com. So that's something that we're really excited about. And Black narrative, no, but what we did was we combined Black narrative with Momentum. So I believe if you type in, if you go to Black narrative, it actually take you straight to Momentum.
Wonderful. And Shannon, how can we get you in social media and all that good stuff?
You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Shannon Ford like the president hyphen Jefferson like the president. I have my own show called A Set Apart Woman on Sunday nights here on Get Vocal at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am currently in the process of editing my 6th poetry book called Dismantling Daddy Dysfunctions, which will be out in 2020. But you can definitely purchase the other 5 on Amazon.com.
All right.
Follow you.
You can follow me at Kente F on Twitter, Kente Ferguson on Instagram, and of course the website is indieradio.org. The website is currently under construction. Jen is working on it, and it's going to be fantastic what she's doing with it. So I can't wait. So, but those are the ways you can get me. Of course, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Please join us for our final day of Mars Venus week. You guys have a beautiful and wonderful rest of your week and weekend as well. God bless.
Bye.